But also what we have seen deployed in the last few days is the media. And the inherently Labour, Green, sympathetic news media. The most interesting example of this, it's subtle but it's deliberate. Guy Williams, who is paid by the New Zealand government to make what passes for a kind of satire Norman Gunston, if you remember him, type satirical news program. And yesterday he dropped, and I think that's the common parlance for releasing a piece of media, he dropped a piece about how Chris Luxon doesn't believe in dinosaurs, and when he was chief executive of Air New Zealand, he kiboshed a safety video because it had dinosaurs in it. Now, there is no doubt, and Guy Williams, believe it or not, is not thick, and the people who produce his show are not thick. This is all a very veiled way for Guy Williams to suggest that that Chris Luxon is a Christian and you shouldn't vote for him. It is designed to highlight his moral conservatism because he is a Christian who may not believe, who believes in creation rather than evolution. That's clearly what it was, and it was embraced, of course, by all the trolls on social media. And Guy even says it's just a bit of fun. No, it isn't, Guy. It's a hit job, and you don't know damn well it's a political hit job. And if anyone thinks we're getting unbiased media coverage of this election, well, here's a person who says we're not and has been saying he wasn't. He's got a new column out on actually on the platform website and an opinion pieces. The man who's banned by the Herald, Dr. Michael Bassett, he joins us now. Michael, anyone who thinks we've had free and fair media this election has got another thing coming, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think the media has just been appalling this election. Quite why that is, it's hard to know. Well,
$75 million of government handouts and millions of dollars of government advertising is probably the reason that that stands out like dog's testicles.
Yes, well, that's one factor, I think. The other thing is that the newspapers are generally in decline, and they've got fewer and fewer journalists, and those journalists are lesser mortals than they used to be. Gone are the days of the Ian Templetons and Shearers and others who were competent journalists. You've now got, Pierce and Nielsen and, my God, Claire Trevitt and Audrey Young. Oh, dear.
All right. I look at, and I've got to be honest, I didn't watch last night's so-called leaders' finance debate. I'm over them, or minor leaders' debate. They look old and tired, and most certainly I couldn't last with any of them. The expert analysis that is provided after, because to be an expert, it seems to me, you have to have been approved somehow by the Ministry of Woke.
That's absolutely right, and never was that clearer than I think it was last week, one that I did look at, which was the minor leaders debates, and there were four people in it, the Maori Party guy, Winston, David Seymour and James Shaw. And what a disastrous debate it was. Seymour was streets ahead of the others in terms of grey matter, but they had some weird woman who said that she thought James Shaw had won it, and then she changed the tune and said she thought it was
Janet Wilson. Now, Janet Wilson was a journalist. She then went and worked for Judith Collins. She was Judith Collins' press media secretary at the last election, which didn't work out so well for her. And then Janet Wilson did a despicable thing. She basically ditched dirt on her former boss in public, right?
Oh, God.
So, Janet Wilson is the partner of Bill Ralston, former editor of Television New Zealand News and TV3 political editor who I work with. So that's who that woman was.
Yes, well, I mean, she's a disaster, poor old thing.
Well, she's approved, though. She's approved in the Auckland woke circles.
Yes, I can believe that.
Yeah. We've
never
also had this journalism around and this absolute acceptance of the Huntly ram raid home invasion story. And I'll give News Hub an ups for this, Michael. They actually went to Huntly and found the terrible home invader pensioner at the Huntly Bowls Club, which is a hotbed of white supremacy, and they gave the lie to a story that was the dominant political story for a couple of days and completely and utterly fictitious by the looks of it.
Well, nothing surprises me, and, I'm prepared to believe that.
Yeah. Look, Michael, the other thing, you've been singing the praises of David Seymour. I note that in your column, which everyone should go on the platform and read, or indeed on the Bassett Brash Hyde website, you say you've voted for David Seymour. I think ACT are going to look back at this campaign. The latest Guardian poll has them dropping in a month from 10.3% to 7.9%.
What's
poll,
the
Guardian poll, they started a poll 3 months ago. They're paying a lot of money for it. It's just a political poll, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And we've had a couple now, so we can compare apples with apples. They've got New Zealand First polling higher than ACT.
Well, that'll be a disaster.